Hello and welcome to Intriguing Realms. In a 1991 study, 2% of Americans who took part in a survey claimed to have experienced an alien abduction. By extrapolation, that would equate to 3.7 million people in America alone. The experiences are remarkably similar. In this video, we look at the common threads that run through a typical abduction and try to find out what we can learn from conversations with extraterrestrials.
I was 20 years old in 1989. I awoke one night to find 4 grey-type alien creatures standing around my bed. One spoke telepathically, telling me, "Do not be afraid. Come with us. You won't remember this." I recall being taken into a small round room and placed on a table. They told me, "We're going to take your memory away. You'll not remember this. Don't be afraid. We're not going to hurt you. You can't remember this." I screamed at them, "Yes, I will." They then cut my arm. I woke up the next morning and immediately looked at my arm. A neat 2-inch scar was exactly where I remembered the aliens cutting me. 2 weeks later, the aliens returned, telling me, "We're going to take your memory." I screamed at them, "No, you're not. I'm going to tell." They told me, "No, you're not. Your parents wouldn't understand. You better not tell them, you know." I screamed out that I would tell my father. They said, "No, no, no, you can't." A few weeks later, they came again. As usual, they attempted to erase my memory of the incident. They told me, "You're going to forget everything." But again, I could remember. I don't know specifically what they asked me. They were asking me things about what we do, but, I can't specifically say. They said, "This will happen and that will happen." I think it's about my job or something. "We're not going to let you remember this. We're going to take your memory of this away." On my last encounter, they said, "We need to talk to you. Come with us." I resisted and threatened to tell my father. They said, "No, you can't tell your dad." I think they're religious. They're not really out to hurt us. They're out to learn. But they're afraid for us to remember because they're afraid we would tell people about them.
I was taken into a room where I was shown babies who were genetically altered. I saw a large contraption shaped like a Christmas tree. But instead of branches, there were incubators filled with babies. I was told to pick a baby and hold it. I refused because the babies appeared to be deformed. Every one of them had something wrong with them. It was sad because it wasn't planned that way, that they had all these things wrong with them. They had everything but love. They told me to take one and love it. They have problems. They are different, but they still need love. I was unable to overcome my revulsion and refused to hold the babies.
After experiencing something like this, abductees may face a phenomenon called missing fetus syndrome. UFO investigators have noticed that this is when women who get pregnant following a UFO encounter unexpectedly lose the fetus. The next subject was subjected to multiple visits from extraterrestrials, and on one such visit she was taken to their craft. Surprisingly, she recalled it was an enjoyable experience. They showed her around the craft and brought her to meet the Master, who imparted to her several spiritual messages.
I don't know all that they said to me, but I remember them telling me there was something I had to do with my aura. I was surprised to find that the appearance of the alien had changed to a human male with blonde hair. I asked, "Why do you look like that?" The alien replied, "Because this is the way you want me to look." I was taken out of my body and was shown what my astral body looked like. The alien told me, "That is your soul. That is the part of you that goes through all the lifetimes." I was given further spiritual lessons on vibrations and healing, and was then returned to my bedroom. Following the event, my search for information led me to a channeler, someone claiming to speak on behalf of the beings. I asked the channeler if people who are abducted make an agreement on some level. The channeler said that yes, abductees do in fact agree to be abducted. I said, "Can you make them stop?" The reply was, "No. You cannot make them stop, but if you become consciously aware, you will be handled in a different way. You need to understand why you have created this. We perceive we are supporting you in your drama. Why did you create this?" I asked. "You come here and you get specimens. What do we get from you?" "You get a jump start in your growth. That's what we give you. Our emotions are different than yours, but we do have emotions because we accept it as important to us." I became angry and shouted at them that they shouldn't take people against their will. The aliens replied, "The experiences you are receiving from this far outweigh the other things you are experiencing."
In Arizona in 1995, William and Rose Shellhart were driving one night when they noticed a bright light in the sky following their car. It darted after them and landed beside them in a field. Then their memories went blank. They woke up at a hotel in Sedona, hours later than expected. They realized they had lost time and sought hypnosis to recover their memories. They remembered being abducted by uniformed aliens who looked almost human and were taken into their craft. Rose remembered more than William, including talking to the aliens.
We were invited on board and treated with kindness and respect. They were just saying, "We are helping you." They told me my husband was in another room getting different messages. I asked where they had come from. They said, "We are from a place you don't know about yet." They said they are helping certain people here because those people will help humanity. And something about the more we help, the more they help us. But they can't interfere and just take over and fix everything.
Jack was only 12 years old in 1972 when he was abducted out of a car. Despite heavy amnesia of the event, he spontaneously remembered details 25 years later, recalling a harrowing 6-hour-long abduction event.
I recall being levitated inside a beam of light and laid out on a table surrounded by short figures. The aliens kept telling me, "Don't worry, we're not going to hurt you." As they examined me, the aliens conversed among themselves. I remember 2 of them going back and forth, and it was like a good cop, bad cop thing. One of them, for all he cared, just wanted to throw me off the ship. That's what the impression was, just get him out of here. And the other one was saying, "No, we are not going to do that." I remember them telling me to open my mouth. I asked about my mother and brother, who were still back in the car. The beings responded, "Don't worry about it. We don't want them. Don't need them. We don't care about them." One of the beings was telling me all kinds of stuff, but it wasn't sinking in. I didn't understand what he was telling me. There were math formula things and something about a lot of triangles and circles. There was a lot of geometry thrown at me, and I'm just sitting there thinking, this is pretty cool, but I kind of want to go home. After several more procedures, the ordeal finally ended. I was placed back into my parents' car, and I said, "You didn't do anything to my mom and brother, right?" The beings responded, "Right, don't worry."
Our next abductee was taken while driving with 2 friends through the Los Angeles forest in July 1991. All 3 experienced a 2-hour-long abduction by grey extraterrestrials.
We were undressed, examined, separated, and given separate messages. As I was laid out and examined, I bombarded the aliens with questions, none of which was answered. I saw my friend sitting in a chair with a bizarre-looking headset on him, and I screamed out, "What are you doing to him?" One of the aliens replied, "It's all right. We're giving him information. It's all right. We're educating him. We're not hurting him. He's all right. It's all right," they said. They don't give you straight answers. They say, "It's okay. We need to do this. You understand." At one point, I found myself in a room with a dozen greys. One stepped up to me and said, "Now, we're going to do something. Don't be afraid, but this is very important that we do this. We're going to put this over your head." I was immobilized by a device placed over my head. The aliens stood in a circle around me and pushed me back and forth like a punching clown. I felt like I was going to fall, but each time I was caught and pushed again. Finally, I relaxed. At that point, they stopped and removed the device. One of the aliens said, "You needed to learn that. You needed to learn to trust us." My friend told me they showed him a device and a whole bunch of stuff. They told him how to make a UFO detector, and they gave him the information. He said they wanted him to document and videotape them. When sightings happen, they told him he has a mission to document this stuff.
Our next witness was watching TV at home in 1992 when she felt a presence. She couldn't see anyone, but she imagined a weird being. It was skinny, bald, grey-skinned, with a big head and dark eyes shaped like almonds. It looked like the usual grey alien. Then she started to write automatically, as if the alien was sending messages through her.
He's very interested in our interest in him and his race. He says they've been here for a long, long time, longer than we have from what I understand. They're vastly interested in us. They're almost more fascinated in us than we are in them. We don't think the same way they do. They live in the ocean, underwater. Their ships are underwater. They're very benign. They have no nuclear warheads or that kind of stuff. He was telling me something about earthquakes. He didn't predict anything else. He just said we're in for some big type of natural disaster. I get the impression, thinking back to what he talks to me about, is that they're almost here to warn us. Not of an impending doom type of thing, like the world's going to blow up, but they're not here to hurt. They're here to observe. He told me that their race is much more numerous than all of humanity. There are not just 5 or 10 or 20 ships roaming around. We're talking, from what I get from him, millions and millions of these people, and they've existed before we recorded time and history. They are conducting a program to contact small groups of people across the planet. That's the understanding I have. They have jobs like everybody has jobs down here. His job is to find people who are receptive enough that he can talk to. And he was really worried about whether or not I was really scared. I get the impression that I am not the only one he talks to. In fact, I think that it's like a job for them. That's kind of the impression I got, is they kind of probe different people. It's like his job is to find people who are receptive.
All of these reports have common threads. The aliens appear concerned about our welfare, calming us down and reassuring us. They seem to be interested in our spiritual development. They seldom speak unless questioned, and often reply with vagueness. They often warn of environmental dangers, and seem to be able to predict events. But interestingly, they seem to be just as fascinated by us as we are by them, and treat us with respect, returning us to where they found us, and wiping our memories. And yet they seem to believe they have a right to abduct and study us, even against our wishes, much as we would treat an animal ourselves. Maybe the accounts here are abductions by benign races, and others are not so fortunate. 600,000 people go missing in the USA every year, never to be found. Perhaps a number of those had encounters with less friendly species and didn't live to tell the tale. If you have had a true supernatural experience, please send it to us at IntriguingRealms@gmail.com, and we may feature it on the channel. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time.